Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's me again, Khalid bin Muhammad Ariff from Sekitar Synergy, Sineberhat of Johor Bahru, Malaysia. Um, Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, all subscribers and viewers of this channel. And before I proceed, I would like to implore all my Muslims counterparts, please do not watch this video when you are already in the mosque, ready for the Friday prayers, and Khatib is now preaching the khutbah, and perhaps you might be now attending a religious lesson somewhere in the world. Please stop this video, pay attention to those preachers, okay? Thank you again for attending, for coming into this channel and watch this video. My intention is to facilitate all businesses, especially Malaysian businesses, in attaining a sustainable state of business via environmental management. And today I am presenting before you my favorite topic, life cycle assessment. But we're not going to do life cycle assessment. This is a tribute for my supervisor who taught me, drilled me 3 weeks, daily basis, 9 to 5 every day on a life cycle assessment, just to define and giving me examples and drill me in detail pertaining to the term environmental aspects. That was way back in 1996 in Bremen, Deutschland. So, well, then I was about 35, 36 years old. And today I am the elder of most of the pack. Okay, I am bringing you today a special, I would say, chronology. I would say a special representation, hoping that if you are already subscribing to ISO 14001, you could use this to review your register of environmental aspect and impact, okay? And having a good understanding of the definition would help strengthen your environmental management system. And this is to complement the work of your consultants, your trainers, whoever they are now helping you out. This is not superseding their work. This is just complementing their work by me producing or displaying the definition from my perspective, hopefully to enhance your understanding and your environmental management system. And I am going to share with you why cotton gloves or cotton glove is an environmental aspect, okay? And with that in mind, this is a crucial understanding if you are developing the operational control procedure aimed to manage this environmental aspect from its origin, which is its respective process or activity, whereby having known this understanding, we are able to develop a good standards operational procedure or operational procedure for those respective processes, activities that involves environmental aspect. That is the paradigm. When we develop procedures, especially for operational activities within environmental management system incorporated, we have to view what we manage based on life cycle perspective. Remember what we manage? Let us recap. Let us recap. What are we managing in environmental management system? There you are. Take a look. I've shown you this before, I believe, in some other videos, but never mind. Now, remember, environmental management system is managing what? That is what we have to understand. Take a look. You can read it. Remember this? Environmental management system is about managing environmental aspects. How we manage it, that's another question. How we manage it. We can have all the setting, we can have all the proportions, we can have the pressure setting, temperature setting, we have all sorts of technical settings. Despite that, we are supposed to ensure that we manage these environmental aspects via, look, fulfilling what? Compliance obligation. It could be the law, it could be the purchase order terms and conditions, it could be the contracts, it could be special directive from stakeholders, it could be special circular from governments. There you are. We have to fulfill those compliance obligation which these aspects might subscribe to. Well, in that case, our activities subscribes to. At the same time, we have got to address, look, the word is address, risk and opportunities related to those environmental aspects. And this is a powerful word, fulfill. Auditors, pay attention to this. I think it's not a problem for auditors, but it might be an issue for premises because fulfilling is 100% compliance. We got to display evidence that we have 100% complied to the obligations that is tagged that we carry with us in managing these environmental aspects from our processes in the operation of our organization. Okay, I hope that is fine. I don't want to spend too much time there. Hopefully that is adequate enough for your comprehension. Now, this is my favorite definition as well. Wonderful. Congratulations, bravo, those people, the TC207 who have been working to bring up this wonderful definition in Geneva, and it is very close, very, very close to me. Okay, look, what is environmental aspects? We are managing environmental aspects, and how we manage it, we know we have to fulfill compliance obligation, and we got to address what is related to its being, which is risk and opportunities. Now, what are these environmental aspects? Look at the two words. As I have mentioned before in earlier videos, interact or can interact with the environment. That's a two big word. Simple, short, def. Okay, it is deep. All right, and I like it so much. In other words, anything. It's a noun. It's a matter. It's a substance of existence in our environment. Anything is not a process. Process is not environmental aspects. Process is a mechanism which involves environmental aspects, and that mechanism could be a machine, and the machine is an environmental aspect. Do not forget it. Got it? So anything that interacts or can interact with the environment is environmental aspect. How would I explain it? Now let's take a look. Here we go. Cotton glove, remember? There you are. The cotton glove interact with the environment. and potentially or even caused the respective environmental impact for its production. Take a look. And remember, we have to look at it from the life cycle perspective to understand what is cotton glove. And what I have displayed to you is the summarized, simplest, shortest, less complicated single or double dimension of the interactions that is involved in producing cotton gloves and when it is disposed of towards the end of its life cycle usage. Okay, now let's take a look one by one slowly. Okay, let's do it slowly. This is our concern. Remember the cotton gloves. I am going to display before you the life cycle perspective of cotton gloves, and I will display before you how to determine the associated environmental impact to this particular aspect upstream and downstream. Because remember, when we have the environmental aspects impact register, we have to identify whether a certain aspect is an input aspect or an output aspect. Remember, when it is an input aspect, we got to determine its associated environmental impact, which is upstream of its life cycle perspective. And if we are disposing that aspect towards the end of its life cycle perspective, the associated environmental impact would be downstream of that particular aspect's life cycle perspective. Now let's begin. Now, cotton gloves, this is the interaction. Cotton gloves is being delivered to us by whom? Coming from textile factory. And in the delivery, it's not shown here, but I'll explain to you. The delivery of cotton gloves from warehouses or from distributors from textile factory already involved multiple vehicles. It could be lorry, it could be vessels, it could be van, whatever, which has got to burn fossil fuel and emit air pollutants into the air just to bring that, just to transport cotton gloves from its respective textile factory via distributor wholesalers to us. Okay, and that is already interacting with the environment, the transportation, whatever it is. Okay, it could be rail, it could be ships, it could be tram, it could be lorries. Okay, they are burning fossil fuel. Okay, I didn't display that here because it's going to be very, very delicate, complicated in a way, but minute. Okay, and this slide cannot accommodate that amount of detail. Now, eventually, cotton gloves originate from what we call a textile factory that produces cotton gloves. It could be a textile factory dye house. Before that, it is coming from the yarn factory producing yarn, and these are all interacting with the environment, producing effluent. There you are, producing effluent wastewater which interact with the environment. Okay, and causes the discharge of treated wastewater into the streams and also discharging what we call sludge. These are all environmental aspects too. They are interacting with the environment to cause effluent may cause water pollution. Sludge, when it is disposed in the landfill, it causes soil contamination. That is already an interaction. Why? Because we want cotton gloves. And the textile factory is also having a boiler uh, and perhaps a furnace or perhaps oven, dryer, and releases air impurities into the air that interact. Air impurities are also environmental aspects which interact with the environment and thus causes air pollution other than global warming, other than adverse weather conditions. All right, and okay, we will leave petrochemical products behind first. Let's go upstream, really upstream. The textile factory got it's what they call raw mat yarn, raw mat cotton. In the textile factory, they make the yarn until the singeing, quenching, knitting, and produce cotton gloves and other fabrics. Okay. Now, the yarn comes from the cotton farm. If it is a cotton, remember it's a cotton gloves, and it's not cheap. Cotton is not cheap today, especially from where I'm coming from, Malaysia. It's not cheap. So, cotton farm, it comes from cotton, and cotton is farmed. When we have cotton farm, the cotton plants require nutrients. And where does it got the nutrient from? The soil, the topsoil. That's where the nutrient is. That is where the abundance of phosphate, nitrate, potassium, you name it, is in the what they call soil. And when there is a homogeneous farm, large acreage of a cotton farm, what will happen? The nutrients is being absorbed rapaciously, literally, and that causes what? Nutrient is an environmental resource. Got it? When there's excess extraction of nutrients from the soil, it causes resource depletion. That's nutrient. And there could be others. And in order to compensate for the lack or the lack of nutrients due to massive number of cotton plants, we have to add in fertilizer. And in doing so, usually from past incident record, we find that there's always the use of excess fertilizers in this area, and thus causes problems with the environment. And excess fertilizer causes another problem called environmental impact to ecologists, which is known as eutrophication. That is an impact from excess fertilizer. And also we have the farmers has got to get rid of all those pesticides or insects by spraying aerosols in the form of pesticides, or could be aerosols in the form of fertilizer, liquid fertilizer, that interact with the environment and causes air pollution. Also, there's a use of herbicides to ensure the plant is healthy and no other what they call saprophytes is wandering in the area and causing nutrients intake and damaging the cotton farm, and that would usually be toxic, and the excess of it gets into the air, causing air pollution. The remains would be falling on the soil and causes soil contamination. Two more environmental impact: air pollution and soil contamination. The same thing applies for pesticides, rodents, okay, insects, causing air pollution, causing soil contamination, and killing all other insects, and that would break some of the insects which is an inhabitant of the ecological system. That particular insect might become extinct and might be causing some other effect to the food chain, the ecological cycle of those organisms in the area, and that causes eventually another environmental impact, which is ecological imbalance. All right, but I didn't write it there. Just listen and you can check with other journals from other experts based on what I have explained, especially pertaining to the extinction of honeybees. All right, the what they call it collapse syndrome. I think it's a there's a what they call communal collapse colony collapse syndrome. All right, way back in the early 2011 and 12, the research was done. Now, that is due to excess use excess use of pesticides in agricultural farms. Okay, and that is an environmental impact, ecological damage, and insects or organism extinction is an environmental impact as well, but it's not normally addressed when we do environmental aspect impact register. Okay, so that is the upstream of the cotton part of the glove. You got it? So it is actually leading to or amounting to resource depletion entirely. Of course, there is another good fact that I didn't mention here as an environmental impact. The fact that cotton itself, despite it has used nutrients from the environmental resources, the soil, namely the farm itself, but cotton, unlike fuel, is what? Renewable resources. When this cotton farm has expired, literally, we can replant cotton trees, cotton, well, we can call it cotton trees. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not an agriculture guy. So we can farm cotton again with seeds, and it produces cotton. Okay, and it can be replanted over and over and over, but the environmental impact on the soil is still the same, which is resource depletion, and on top of that, homogeneous agriculture would lead to certain conditions in the soil that you got to refer to agricultural scientists or soil scientists who know more about the impact of a homo agriculture system. So that is why in some parts of the world we've got hetero agriculture. We plant one sort of vegetation. After that is done, we replace with another vegetations. Remember ribosomes and all this. So it would complement, it would replenish the nutrients in the soil itself. I'm not going into that. That is detailed agricultural sciences. Please refer to the experts. I'm just reciting what I learned from them. Okay, that is the upstream of the life cycle perspective of cotton. Not yet gloves, because we have not touched the coloring part of the cotton, and there are some polyester or petrochemical fibers being also what you call involved in the manufacture of cotton gloves. So let us take a look. Let's go back to the textile factory again. What do we want to observe this time? Look at this line. The fact that cotton gloves are made of petrochemical not really made of, consist of petrochemical products such as coloring, such as some of the threads which is being used to sew those cotton cloth together. Some of them, well, most of them are petrochemical fiber, petrochemical threads, which is from petrochemical, yeah, fiber. The same material that can also be used to have an artificial hair bonding. And it comes from petrochemical products. It is actually, they are petrochemical products coming from petrochemical factory. And where does this petrochemical factory gets their raw material from? From the oil and gas industries, an array. And if we look at the petrochemical factory itself, we are not looking further to other associated factories. Petrochemical factories do have what? Boilers, furnaces, and heaters, maybe oven. Well, a lot of setups. If you're in petrochemical industry, you know. But for the rest, all I have got to tell you is that they are emitting air impurities into the air. Unburned hydrocarbon, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, sulfur oxides into the air, to name a few. And that would lead to the release of air impurities in the air, and thus causing a state called an environmental impact called air pollution. That is how it interacts. Okay, it is being released and interact with the environment. What? Petrochemical products for the textile factory, and it comes from fossil fuel, most of the raw mat. And fossil fuel here, what does it cost? The more fossil fuel will cost, the more demand for fossil fuel will cause a state of environmental impact called resource depletion, and also damage in our bedrock structure. And that is because we need to use those chemical products in the textile factory to manufacture our cotton, so-called cotton gloves. On top of that, this textile factory do use inorganic chemicals such as potassium permanganate as oxidizing chemicals, also hydrogen peroxides, and these are inorganic chemical products coming from chemical factory. We make it simple, chemical factory which produces this product and supply them to the textile factory, and they got all these resources coming from minerals, meaning mining, and that cause the amount of minerals in the natural resource to becomes reduced. Therefore, we are also taught the fact that this cause a state of environmental impact such as, or namely, resource depletion. And of course, not forgetting causing, when you have resource depletion here, it is actually tapping with natural resource, which is the geological structure, therefore causing geological permanent damage to our mesosphere, to our earth structure. Okay? Those are interactions that has caused the various type of environmental impact where upstream of the processes which are involved in the manufacture of cotton gloves. The more demand for cotton gloves, the more impact to the environment in terms of resource depletion, water pollution, air pollution, eutrophication, excess nutrients, depleting of nutrients in the earth, damaged earth structure, name it. All right, that is upstream for cotton gloves. Nonetheless, cotton gloves is being used. We are going downstream now. It is being used. And in some environmental aspects, output register, remember, we have got used cotton gloves. And a good thing about used cotton gloves, some of them are recyclable, which is good for the environment. We are regenerating renewed resources over here. We are regenerating cotton gloves for further use and reuse over here. However, eventually it has got to be, it would come to the absolute end of its life cycle, and inevitably it has got to be disposed as solid waste, and that would cause conditions like soil contamination. So this is what we would call, this direction over here is called downstream life cycle perspective for the used cotton glove, because the fact that it is an output aspect. So eventually the disposal of this cotton gloves, it could be in the landfill, that would cause soil contamination as has been noted here, or otherwise it might go for, it might be sent to incineration plants, where that would cause what? It's not written down here, but it's up here. The impact is air pollution eventually. Okay. All right. So please remember, if it is an input aspect, the impact, take a look, cotton gloves, as we have discussed just now, would have gone to upstream of the life cycle perspective. And the upstream impact will be the environmental impact associated to input aspect. And for the output aspect over here, the associated environmental impact will have got to go downstream, like this one, okay, the one in purple color here, downstream, to determine its probable associated, I wouldn't say the word probable now, it's all occurring, it's the associated environmental impact. So remember the word. What is the word? Environmental impact is anything. Remember, it is a noun, it is a substance, it is a matter that what interact or can interact with the environment and causes, as you have seen, all the subsequent eventual array of environmental impact. Thank you for your time. This is the best this old man could do for you, and I want to ensure that this knowledge get to the right person, especially young people, younger generations, to embark on measures, mitigating measures, especially those that would eliminate or reduce the rate of environmental impact that we are suffering today. So best of luck to all until we meet in the next video. I will be sharing with you a few other environmental aspects, hopefully God's willing, insyaAllah. So I wish everybody in bahasa Melayu again dikurniakan kesenangan, keselamatan, kesejahteraan, kebahagiaan dan kejayaan kehidupan di dunia dan di akhirat. If you're non-Malay, translate it and you'll be happy to hear a wish from this old man to all of you. Okay, so thank you very much for subscribing to this channel. If you haven't subscribed, please clear your conscience, support this old man and subscribe. It's 36 years of experience put in slides as simple as this, and I hope you make it better, and make it your own. Okay. Thank you very much, YouTube. So until we meet in the next video, I wish everybody safe and sound and healthy. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.